Yes, what's up, peeps? I'm AngelNaphtalie. For you old school people who know me as Nancy, you should know me by now by AngelNaphtalie, right? Good. It's a gorgeous day out today. Absolutely mesmerizing and peaceful so far. I say that because you never know, right? Where I am right now, it's totally peaceful. An empty parking lot with nobody to bother me. Let me show you, because like, this is my favorite spot to do lives. Let me show you. Empty parking lot, see? My favorite trees. I wanted to sit under a tree today, but the grass was wet. And not from dog pee. It was because it was raining earlier. So this is my favorite spot. Yeah, give me a second, put this down. Yeah, I had it just right, but no, I had to go and move it, right? I gotta move the earphones over here so it won't be so distracting for you all, because I'm playing music. I'm playing Beres Hammond, if you have to know what I'm playing. I'm playing his whole album. Beres Hammond is one of those artists that, hard to describe, but everything he sings has got a storyline behind it. Yeah. So I'm in a place where maybe the service here might be a little spotty, but you let me know, okay? But I'm live. I'm live, folks. I tried to announce it. I should have just put a post instead of trying to put a live video. But, you know, when I'm out here, I can't see as good. The light gets in my eyes. My eyes have not been fixed totally, so it's always something. This isn't working out. I gotta, So I gotta listen to Beres Hammond. What's up? We're gonna talk about Memorial Day. And hopefully my sister Linda comes on at some point, because she knows all the different military services, or regiments, and all of that stuff that our family members were part of. I know some of them, but I know everybody that was in the service, but maybe I might not know what branch they were part of, or what service they were part of. So hopefully she gets to see this and she's not too busy and she comes on and she talks with us. But I want to talk about Memorial Day. Memorial Day and Veterans Day really do mean a lot to me. And the reason it does, I've got to sneeze, I know it. Because everybody that was our parents or our grandparents on my branch of the family were all service members. And some died at war and some died later in life. You know, like I have uncles and great uncles who are still alive, who also fought in the different wars. I had grandparents and great grandparents who were also in the services. So that's important to me, to honor them. I never got the opportunity to be in any service like I have talked to you guys about before. One of the things I had wanted to do was I had wanted to go into the Air Force, believe it or not. I wanted to be a pilot. I did. I know it seems weird, like, Angel, fly a plane? Yeah, why not? I like flying. I never got to do it. My life shifted to having a child at a very young age, and the service at that time would not take me in unless I was married. And me, all of you who do know that, know this fact about me. If you don't, you know now. I wasn't getting married just because I had a kid at an early age. I was talking to my mom last night about it, and I said, I do not regret ever, not one moment, that I never got married. Nope, don't regret it. Because I always knew that the fathers of my children were not the one. They were not that special someone that I would want to be a part of their life in that way. And have I met that person yet? I don't know. But I know that they were not. They were not the one. And I don't care if it never happens, really, truthfully. All I know is that that would have been the wrong move for me. And I had to struggle a little bit more than probably I would have had I... No, I don't think I would have struggled any less or more, because, like I said, I was a young mother. I was really a teenager, really, basically. And things were not easy. And I did it pretty much by myself. Literally. But that's neither here nor there. The point is because of that, because I didn't get married when I had my first child, which would have been like a dumb thing to have done. I was telling my mom that last night. If my mom and his parents were trying to do that to us, and he was younger than me. I'm not lying. Can you imagine 2 teenagers? I would have beat him up every night. Are you hearing me? I would have beat him up. He knows. I still tell him that. I know his brother's watching this live right now. He knows. I would have beat him up. Because he was off the chain. But anyway, I mean, I forgive him for all of his stupidness at this point. And because I had a child, I couldn't go into the Air Force when they were, I really wanted to do that. Now, my sister, she went into the Coast Guard later. I mean, she was young. She's younger than me, so I had to wait for, well, she had to wait till she got of age to be able to do that. And she chose to go in the Coast Guard and get away from all of this muck that we have to deal with, or had to deal with at that time. And I'm proud of her. I'm so proud of her. She met her husband in the Coast Guard on the ship that she was on, because they had to be out at sea to do most of their training. And they got married, and they're still married to this day. They had 3 daughters, and it's beautiful. You know, it's beautiful that they could do that. And so anyway, getting back to the family, I'm gonna try to remember in order of starting with my grandfathers. We'll start with my just my grandfathers, not the great grandfathers, because I know some of them were also in a service of some kind, and they probably fought in some wars, but I don't know enough right now to talk about that. If my sister comes on, she might remember for me. But I could say my Aunt Lucille is the one who got me into the VFW auxiliary, which I am still a part of, technically. What that entails is that a VFW cadet, which I would be, right now I should be like pushed into the women's auxiliary, but I don't live, I'm not around the right people. I live in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where there's a lot of places that I could be hooked up with to become a woman's auxiliary member. But their way of being is not like on Martha's Vineyard. It just isn't. And I would not be happy being a part of that. But she brought me in as I was one of the older young people at the time, and she brought me in and she made me the president of the women's auxiliary cadets. And what that entails is that we are part of this auxiliary because we have family members who are veterans and who have died and who are still, well, some of them aren't alive anymore. There are a few that are still around that served in these many, many wars. And some are veterans and wounded warriors, you know. So, and most of them are slowly leaving the planet, you know, and it's sad because we don't have anyone in my generation who actually was in a war, any war, because my brothers would have been, but my father protected them from that. And he was able to keep them protected by being in a church that he was in, and that kept, religion can protect you from going to war. And like I said, I couldn't get in because I had a kid, so I didn't do anything. But I'm one of them kind of girls that if there had been a way, I would have been the one. I was not afraid to fight. I still am that kind of girl. But I'm going to fight a different war right here as a Rasta soldier, just doing what we got to do to stay alive and be peaceful. So I'm going to be a peaceful warrior. Yeah. So I'm going to start somewhere. I might jump around, but Memorial Day is very important to me. It's very important to our family. And like I said, there's a lot of veterans in our family. Some alive, some not. And I want to honor them all. Memorial Day is a place and time where, when I did live on Martha's Vineyard, I used to be in all the parades that we had there for Memorial Day and Veterans Day, because on Martha's Vineyard there were a lot of veterans. Like I said, when we honor them, we take care of them. We make sure they get what they're supposed to. The people up here where I live right now, let me tell you, there is a PA club, and I'm sorry I have to put this out there. I'm going to get back to all the veterans in my family. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. I'm sort of just stalling a little bit in case my sister comes on. When I look out my window of my building, I call it the Norfolk Castle on Norfolk, the county of Norfolk. Now I make a big story like as if I'm really got my own queendom here. I am the queen. Queen of Norfolk. Across the street from my house there's a PA club. I call it a PA club. They might call it something else. I think the Brazilians have a different name for it, and I can't pronounce it, so I'm not going to go there. And it's not just about the Brazilians. It's supposed to be there for the Portuguese, the Brazilians, and the Cape Verdeans, and everybody else that wants to go through there to rent a place. But it's a PA club where they go in there, unfortunately, and I have to watch it, to get drunk. And there's a lot of veterans that go in there. And that is sad, because being a VFW cadet auxiliary member or a VFW women's auxiliary, we are not supposed to allow that to happen. We are supposed to take that to the Veterans of Foreign War Affairs group, let them know that the violation is happening. Unfortunately, I'm all alone here, you know. Nah, my sister never got to be in the auxiliary. She don't need to anyway. She's an honorary auxiliary member because she is a Coast Guard member. You know, she didn't fight in any wars, but she is in the service. You know what I'm saying? So I consider her still part of what I was. My other sister is too young. She wasn't young enough to be part of any of that. And not that she can't be now. I mean, she's old enough now to be an auxiliary member. And I think it's a good thing. I remember all the bylaws and all the rules and regulations and the things we had to memorize. Like, my aunt was not easy. She was not easy on me. She had me doing a lot of things as a family member. Because I was the oldest, she would have me in every parade. Let me tell you. She had me in the Portuguese parades, carrying the crown. We have a parade that comes by our street, the Norfolk Queendom, right? Norfolk Street Road. So Cambridge Street, way out there where you see my hand waving, that's Cambridge Street. And the parade comes there. I heard the band actually yesterday practicing. I didn't hear them today. I don't know if they did the parade today or they'll be doing it in another few weeks. But they usually have the Portuguese feast and parade up the road, and they have their floats and members. I can't even listen to this music right now. Going down the road. They have 50 million, I'm exaggerating just slightly, 50 million queens carrying the crowns. So, symbolically, when I did it, there would be one older girl, like, you know, teenage age, and she would have the ribbons, the 4 ribbons around the crown that she would carry, the big crown, right? I can't remember the significance of that, but anyway, she had 4 ribbons that would carry the crown, and the ribbons would go out to 4 girls that would help hold those ribbons while she carried the crown, right? And then you have people behind her dressed in their Portuguese outfits. Then you'd have one young girl under the age of 12. So 7 to 12 would be the age, and you had to have a person in the family who nominated you to do that because of their heritage. So my Aunt Lucille automatically put me in there because she was a leader of many things, and I was the oldest of my family, and I was at the right age. I think I started when no, actually we had to, yeah, I was 12 when I got there, so I did it for 3 years. So I must have been, the age had to be 14 and under, yeah, because I did it for like 3 years in a row. And then, you know, I moved up the line. But I'm telling you these things because these things were all tied into the Memorial Day parades, into the Veterans of Foreign War parades, into the Police Academy parades. That we had parades for everything. When I tell you, on the Vineyard, in Nantucket probably, and the Cape, we have more parades honoring all of these elements of things that have happened in our lifetimes. You're not seeing that like that now anymore. Like I said, the parade that I see go by here, that I got excited when I found out there was a parade, that I could be watching and bring back the memories of when I used to do the parades. And I'm telling you, I'm very disappointed in the culture up here in Cambridge. I went to one Portuguese feast, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to diss anybody here in Cambridge. I'm only talking about culture because I am part of that culture, right? On my mom's side, we have Italian, we have Irish, we have mostly Portuguese, and mostly Cape Verdean. And those four elements alone puts me in the category of culture. You know what I'm saying? And my mother is totally very cultural. And that has brought us kids into the same element of not wanting to be, because we are. My dad's side's a whole different situation, and there's lots of culture there too, but they're not doing those things the same way as the other cultures that I'm part of. And yeah, like I just got totally disappointing in the feast that happens up here. I brought my kids, and they treated me like, I gotta move this around because my back is killing me sitting there like that. They treated me like I was a foreigner, like I wasn't supposed to be part of their group. Most of these people up here in Cambridge are from the Azores. Well, they were from the Azores, because I don't really see any new people coming in. Most of them are old school, like my mom's age, and a few people around that are younger than me. Like there's one guy, I call him my brother, Mario. A lot of people named Mario around here, because a lot of them are Portuguese, and they all name their kids Mario for some reason. But Mario is like the sweetest man ever, and all he wants to do is go home. He was in the war. He said he was in the Vietnam War. Which one was he in? Yeah, I think he was in the Vietnam War. Whatever war was the last one. Not these new ones that are coming up. And all he wants to do is go home to Lisbon. That's where my ancestry comes from, on my great-grandmother's side. My great-grandfather was from Cape Verde. And so that's where I get my Cape Verdean from. And the Italian, well, that's a whole nother ballgame. That was on my grandfather's side. So he's Italian and Irish. Yeah, my grandfather was the best grandfather ever. Best grandfather ever. And that's where I get my blue eyes from. Anyhow, let's get back to the Veterans of Foreign War. I know I get a little distracted sometimes. I go off in these little tangents, and I apologize. But I have so much to tell you. Because I was talking to my mom last night, and I'm telling her stories about some of my childhood, teenage days that you would never tell your mother about. Yeah. I tell my mother everything. When I say I tell my mother everything, I tell my mother everything. And I didn't tell her everything when I was a teenager, or as a kid, but now I do. I tell her everything. And she gets a kick out of it. She goes, you should write a book. I said, I know, I do my lives. They're like telling my story, but when I get on, I forget to tell the stories that are important because I have so many stories to tell. Or I get distracted and I can't get focused like I'm doing now. So I'm going to go back and I'll tell you more about the story of the family in a minute. I want to start running down the list of people that were in the family that served in any of the wars, you know, ancient times to when even current. I don't know if anybody is current in anything. But let's start with my dad. My dad was in I think the Marines. But he was more, he didn't go to war. He had to go serve, where you go, like be gone for so many weeks and then come home. So reserves, I think it's called the reserves. He was in that. And the reason he didn't have to go to war like my uncles did, and I'm going to name all of them, my uncles, was because he had a family and he was married. And so he had to be in it. He had to be part of something. But he didn't have to go to war because he had a family. And it was a large family. He had 7 of us. We didn't, I mean, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 of us still alive out of 7. There's my brother Ernie, my sister Linda, my sister Nyla, and me. Is that 4? Yeah. No. Yeah, 4 of us. 4 of us, right? The other siblings have gone on. Now, so my dad, he was in, I want to say the Marines or the Army. I'm not sure. If my sister Linda comes on, she'll clarify that. I thought it was Army for years, but it could have been the Marines. And I know that his father was in the Marines as well. So, or yeah, because he was on a boat. Not my dad, but his dad was on a boat. He liked to swim. He died swimming. He had a heart attack while swimming. So there's a whole bunch of stories about that. That was Harry Sr. My dad was Harry Jr. And then I had a brother who was the 3rd. Okay, so there was my dad, and then there was Dougie, also aka Joseph. He was in the Coast Guard, I believe. Yeah, he was in the Coast Guard. Dougie is still around, I believe. Oh, I forgot Uncle Jack. Uncle Jack was before Dougie. Uncle Jack was in the Navy. I'm almost positive he was in the Navy. And he died during COVID. I loved my Uncle Jack. I didn't get to see him often. I mean, he lived right down there in Quincy. And but when I used to see him, he had a hole here because what he worked around was a lot of asbestos off the ships and stuff. So he was in the Navy Yard. And I believe that's how that happened. But he was a fantastic person. Fantastic person. Then there was Dougie, like I told you, and I think Dougie was in the Coast Guard. He actually became a minister, I believe. Like a minister to, you know, like do the church stuff inside the Coast Guard. Then there was Uncle Dickie, aka Richard. He was in the Navy. For sure, I know he was in the Navy. The reason I know that is because the Navy men used to come home with their sailor hats tipped to the side, and then the bell-bottom pants and the little square thing in the front. That's how you knew they were Navy. He always looked so handsome because he had blonde curly hair. And he was just a handsome dude. You know, he was a handsome dude. All my uncles were handsome, but I'm saying Uncle Dickie was handsome. Handsome, handsome, handsome. Then there was Uncle Jimmy. And I believe Jimmy was either in the Marines or the Army. And he did go to war. He did go to war. And it affected him seriously. He's still around. Nobody has heard from him in a while, but he's still around, and I believe Uncle Dougie is still around. And Uncle Dickie's still around. So 3 uncles that belong to my dad's family are still around. Then on my mom's side, my mom didn't do anything. She just married my dad because of me, because they got pregnant at the drive-in movies. I know the story because I talked to my mom. I told you, I tell my mom everything, and she tells me everything. She lets me know now. She didn't tell me when I was a teenager that certain things would cause you to have, get pregnant, but she said she was sorry last night that she didn't educate me properly. And I said, well, how are you going to do that, Mom? You didn't even know yourself. Yeah. So anyhow, but her father was, I want to say it's Navy, but it could have been Marines. He was a deep sea diver, the ones that wear the big heavy, like the person that, there was a movie about the guy who lost his leg, and he wanted to go back to doing the deep sea diving, and they weren't going to let him because they figured he couldn't carry the heavy equipment. So basically, you're put in this. It looks like a robot suit, basically, and you walk on the bottom of the ocean, and you're going out to detect bombs, find the bombs. And he did that, and he had special missions that he had to do. He had a lot of medals. Matter of fact, you might have seen a video that I did last year regarding a medal. Well, it was really a dog tag that was found on Nantucket with his name on it. And that was because he used to love to go swimming. And he lived between Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket many times, before they moved to California and Boston. And he lost his dog tag somewhere on the shores of Nantucket. Somebody found it last year, and they were trying to find, through a reporter, trying to find my family, and they eventually did. They found my Aunt Jackie, they found my mom, they found my sisters and myself, and they have lost, or the tag has been misplaced somewhere. We don't know where, but they're still looking for it to get it back to the family. And what my mom and my Aunt Jackie may have come to the conclusion that if they ever do get it back, they're going to make copies of it, and each one of them as sisters, because there's only 2 of them, would carry that dog tag, and then also make the original and put it in the medal cabinet with all of his original medals that he got, awards and stuff for being that deep sea diver. He defused a lot of bombs. So my wonderful grandfather, Ernest Gentile, the one I get my baby blues from, was a special grandfather. And I believe his brother was also in the service, but I don't know his branch. Then there was, so all my uncles basically on my dad's side were in the service, including my dad. And there was my great uncle, my great grandfather, who was a whaler, John Silva. And he gone south, right? He was from Cape Verde, and I believe he also served in some wars, as well as he was a whaler. And they had a lot of children, him and my great-grandmother, Fortunata, who was from Lisbon, Portugal. So he was from Cape Verde, she was from Lisbon. They eloped on a ship, and he brought her to the Cape, and they migrated back and forth from the Cape to Nantucket to Martha's Vineyard, and eventually stabilized themselves on Martha's Vineyard and built a house. The house is no longer there, but they did have all their children in that house, most all of their children. Some of them were born on Nantucket. But he also was in the service, as well as my uncle, one of my uncles, his sons. What was my uncle's name? That would be a great uncle. So my Aunt Lucille's brother, one of the oldest brother, he was also in the service. And my Aunt Lucille served as a woman because women only did certain things, helping the soldiers and stuff like that. She did a lot. My Aunt Lucille was a veteran without being a veteran, let me tell you. She did a lot for the community, a lot for the different wars. My grandmother, who was married to Ernest Gentile, who is part of my Aunt Lucille's family, that would be Aunt Lucille's sister. Hi. Do you need me?
Huh?
You don't need me.
Do I need you?
No. You know what I'm doing.
Yeah. You're just loitering.
Of course. Loitering and causing trouble. Doing my lives.
Yeah, I know.
You know. Talking about Memorial Day. What are you doing for Memorial Day?
Last time, right?
Huh?
You were over there catching your rays.
I was. And then I was gonna, because you told me to.
I didn't tell you nothing.
You said don't sit on the curb, go sit on the steps. You forgot?
No, that wasn't me. Couldn't have been me.
Oh, well, you see me over there.
Because I actually cut you a break. I like you, and I know you don't bother anybody.
Exactly.
But the building has a policy, and if we're being honest, you're pushing it from there to the steps, because these guys have to come down these steps.
There's nobody in there today.
And you're right. It's a holiday.
It's right. That's why I'm here, because I know there's nobody in there today.
You know what? You're absolutely right.
That's why I'm here. Empty parking lot.
I know.
I own this.
And I love this so much for you. I just hate when I have to bother people who aren't doing anything, but then it comes back on me when these cameras say, hey, he's not moving people off my property,
So wave your hand at me, and then I'll say, okay.
All right, so I'm glad we can come up with an agreement for the cameras. I really am. Because I really, genuinely don't want to bother you.
I know you don't. But I'm good.
Okay.
I ain't staying too much.
This is what we do it. You get out of here.
Yeah. Thank you. I will. Peace, officer. Yes. Yeah, I got to go through this all the time because I'm sitting in a parking lot so, and then they want to, security cameras want to say I'm out here. Look. What? No friends. No. Never. No, never. But he knows me. He knows I come over here and just sit here. And I'm making a mess, I've got everything all over the steps, see? Where else am I at? That was a short intermission. If I sit here too long, that's what they do. And it's always around the same time. So whatever. Like, what happened to the free world of speech and free world of just being yourself and not bothering nobody? Why can't we all just get along? Why can't we all just have fun? Shoot. Anyhow, who was I left off with? I can't remember now. My Aunt Lucille's family. I think her husband was also a person, Lloyd Carter. Hopefully I got his name right. I never met him, so I don't know. And my grandmother, Serena Gentle, who was married to Ernest Gentile, my grandfather on my mother's side, my mother's father and mother. She also worked in the welding part of the war. And her and my Aunt Jackie, I believe, and some of her friends, because women had to have a job. You know, they had to do stuff. So they either had to go and help by bandaging up wounded soldiers or helping as a nurse. You know, back then they didn't really let you go to war, but you had to do those other menial tasks. Or you had to be a welder. So she did welding. She also was a seamstress later. I mean, she's always been a seamstress all of her life, but she's no longer with us. But she had a fulfilling, long life to the age of 97, I believe. 97, 98. And so she was the mother of my mother and my Aunt Jackie. Now, I believe my Aunt Jackie's husband was also in the war. And some of her children were also in the military. I just don't remember which ones did what. I think I pretty much have covered all the veterans. And now people are coming in and I can't see anything. Oh, I see Linda. Linda, if I forgot anybody, please just type it in there for the people who are here that they can hear it, because I can't read anything. I tried to do my best, but you're the one with all of the information about our veterans in the military arena. So Memorial Day to me is a day to bring up memories and, you know, memorialize those individuals, whether they're still living or they have gone on. You know, it's important to me. And I've had friends, like I had a really good friend. He was like a big brother to me. I wanted him to be more than a big brother, but I was only 14 at the time and he was much older. I didn't know nothing then. I just had a super crush on him. And his name was Ray. And he went into the Marines or the Army. And nobody knew he was in that until the day he had to leave. So like 2 days before, he became very solemn and quiet and looking out to sea, playing his bongos and trying to educate us that were left, you know, that he would be leaving behind, because we were like a family, all of us, all of the teenagers at that time. And it was sad to see him leave. But one thing he did do, and I was telling my mom about it last night, is he wrote to me every day. He wrote to me every day. Ray Thompson. He wrote to me every day. I still have all the letters that he wrote to me. I do. And they still have the scent of whatever cologne he was wearing at that time. Believe it or not, they let you wear cologne or something. Or maybe he just found it at the end before he mailed it. And I'm sure he would have had all my letters, you know, sent, because back then that's how you would send letters. Now you text everybody. And I can send a text to you, right? But you can't smell me. It's not the same. It's not the same. But we have to find new ways of communication, so that's the way we have to do things now. And Ray Thompson went to service, and he never came back. I know the last letter I received from him Had to be in probably 73 or late 72, 70, somewhere around there, saying that he was in a ditch in Vietnam. He was in a ditch and being shot at, and that he had been shot in his leg. At least at the time, he had been shot in his leg. And he was scared, and he didn't know if he was ever going to make it out of there. That's the last letter I have. I still have it. I cried. I cried, thinking he was dead. I don't know if he is or not. I have not been able to find out, because you're not allowed to, you're not a relative. You can't, like, you just, my sister probably could find out, but, yeah. I always think about him all the time. I always think, like, what is he doing? Did he survive? Is he a wounded warrior? So, Ray, if you're out there watching this by chance, let me know. Anyhow, that's about all I know for now. I wish I could see what my sister's saying. I know she's putting stuff in there. I can see her name popping up all over the place. I can't read it. I just can't read it. Anyway, that's how I feel about Memorial Day. I miss those parades I used to be in on the island. I miss them dearly. If I lived on the island, I'd probably be still hobbling up with the rest of the wounded warriors. Actually, one parade, I remember this one distinctly. I think I was the first parade for Memorial Day. My Aunt Lucille put us on a float with the Maurice boys, so I was on it. I don't know if my siblings, I think my siblings were on it too, but I don't know what Linda would have been, but I know for sure, I know my brother Ernie was in it. Maybe Kevin was too young. I don't think he was in it. But some of the Maurice boys, and I say Maurice boys because one of the Maurice boys later in life becomes the father of my first son. And so that was like way before life was even made that turn. I was made to be the Statue of Liberty. I had to dress, well, my Aunt Lucille and my mom and my grandmother made an outfit for me that was just, really taking material and draping it over me and making me look like the Statue of Liberty and painting my skin green. And I had to carry a torch. And let me tell you, carrying that through the whole parade, I had to keep my arm up. I had to keep my arm up. And afterwards, I couldn't do anything with my arm afterwards. It was just so painful. And all these Maurice boys and a few other young men and young boys, because they were boys, were dressed up like the different service members, like the wounded soldiers, laying at my feet. I will not forget that parade. That was the very first parade besides me carrying the crown for the Portuguese feast. But as far as Memorial Day or Veterans Day, that was the first one that I was in. And my aunt, I tell you, my Aunt Lucille made us do a lot of things. A lot of things. And I will not forget those days. And I, to this day, love being in parades, like of doing something of substance. But anyhow, those were the days. Those were the days. So if anybody tunes in and want to know information right now, my sister Linda is leaving information there. I hope she is anyway. So Memorial Day versus Veterans Day. To me, they're both the same, but I know there's a significant difference for both of them. But because as a kid, Memorial Day came before Veterans Day, it stands out. I remember having to go to the cemeteries with my Aunt Lucille and the Veterans of the Foreign Wars organization. All my siblings had to do this. Some of them will remember, some won't. She would take us up, and we have to take these little flags and outplant them around all the veterans and soldiers. And we did it for both days, like not just on one or the other. And then we would go to the Portuguese VFW and have a big to-do there for them for after the fact. So the island is made up of a lot of veterans, basically. It's made up of a lot of different nationalities, mostly Portuguese, Cape Verdean, and now a lot of Spanish people are there, like Puerto Ricans, Cape Verdeans, definitely, Jamaicans, few Trinis, Native Americans, Wampanoag, preferably, but other Native Americans are also down there too. And that's what the Martha's Vineyard is pretty much made up of. Portuguese, Cape Verdean. Those are the two dominant things. And most of those people are still there, who have had family there for years. We should have had property there because we had been there a long time through my great-grandparents. Fortunata and Long John Silver, as they used to call him, gone south. The reason they called him that was because he was like 7 feet tall, a whaler, and he did a lot of whaling, a lot of hauling in of them whales. He did a lot for the Wampanoag tribe too. Brought in the oil. Yeah, good old grandpa. My great grandmother, she was like 4 something. She wasn't even. If she was 4'3", I'm being nice. She probably wasn't that. I think Linda just put a whole bunch of stuff there, and I really can't see it, but I can see a whole paragraph. Thank you, Linda. I wish I could read it. Hopefully it shows up after and I can read it. But yeah, if you get it when this live is over, what you just put there now, copy and paste it. Copy it, and then later when it finalizes and goes up again, paste it in as a comment. That way people see it when they come back to watch the live, because sometimes you don't get to see what people are putting in the comments. Sometimes you do, but sometimes you don't. So just in case, because I'm sure if you put that much there, I'm sure that it's vital information for the people to read, because we have a family that's deep, and I want people to know about it. My sister and Linda, who is writing right now, she and her husband Frank Hester, like I told you, they got married when they were in the Coast Guard and out at sea. They retired. They're retired from the Coast Guard now, but they stayed in a long time. My sister became chief, and it wasn't something that women did. Oh, that men did not like it. And that's what's different about the women that are in my family, is we stand up for our rights and we don't let anybody tell us we can't do something. I did try to still get into the Air Force, even though it didn't work out. It didn't work out. But had I not had my son, I would have probably been in there too. I might not be here either, because I probably would have crashed a few planes as a dive bomber. No, I don't know. I probably put down many planes. I know that, because I wanted to be one of them. I wanted to be a female. I don't know what the word I want to use, but yeah, that's what I wanted to do. So the only thing I've come close to even flying and doing that would have been considered crazy is during the end of COVID lockdown, I believe, or just before it. Maybe it was just before it. I did go with my son and his daughter, my two sons and one of their daughters. She turned a certain age and she wanted to go and jump out of a plane, parachuting. And so I went and I did that. That was exciting. So exciting. But it was like hailing out. Like, well, it was raining, so when you're up high, that rain becomes like hail. Now, would I do it again? I would, but the only problem is all the paperwork they make you sign just to go and jump out of a plane was like more scary than jumping out of the plane. It made you afraid to even want to get in the plane. So I said, you know, I don't want to go through all that. I want to do that, but I don't want to go through that. So we're not doing it. I want to do other things though. Okay, so I don't want that guy to come back again and harass me. So I'm gonna probably be done with this live. And well, he didn't harass me. He knows me. He just had to say what he had to say, so nobody bothers him. What he should be doing, honestly, is going to the other side of the building where the teenagers hang out doing drugs. That's where he should be. That's where the lootering happens. You know what I'm saying? Did I put them on the spot? Yes, I did. That's my job. Because if you look at this parking lot, you know it's empty. It's just me. No one's coming in and out of the building. And if they have cameras here, they already know I come here. I come here. And ain't nobody ever in... Everybody that comes here is usually UPS, FedEx, and all of them know me. So usually if there's a lot of parked cars in here or something like that, I don't try to sit on the steps because I know people are going to go in and out of the building. I usually wait until after 5 when people are leaving. This way, like, come on. What do you go? They ain't got nothing in there. It's not the Brinks truck. There's nothing in this building whatsoever of significance. So get over it. If they don't like it, lump it. That's the rebel in me. Yeah. So happy Memorial Day to all of you. I hope you all stay safe. Some crazy things are about to take place in this world, so be prepared. Stay aware and alert. That's all I can say to you right now. Yeah. All right. I'll take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you next time. Peace and love. And salute to all of you.